Welcome to episode 57 of Around the Board, recorded on February 16th, 2025. This is a show where four board game enthusiasts discuss board games and board game topics. Today's show starts off with a special guest, Shawn Holt from the YouTube channel Allies or Enemies. We start off by him telling us about his new game, Last Week of Summer. After that, we play on to everybody's favorite game, Play Shelf Trade. Then John drums up another, believe it or not, and rounding out the show, Andy regales us with the wonder of board game theater. All that said, here are your hosts, Andy Barnett and the Masters of the Universe, Daniel Knowing is Half the Battle Connors, the original Goonie, John Theismann, and he is Shawn Holt.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you got the Shawn Holt there, Andy, but you know, valiant effort.
Well, I tried.
I
didn't quite get what you do on your show, but
so it goes like and Shawn Holt.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's just the and is the only thing.
okay. Well, I gave you a little bit more pizzazz than normal. So
Yeah. Great.
Well, Shawn,
Cool.
we're happy to have you on the episode. I'm so glad you agreed to be on here. And just for a little background, how this happened actually is John, right? We had our most anticipated games of 2025 list, and John saw that you made this game. John, you tell the story real quick.
Yes, as I was looking through all of the games that are going to be coming out in 2025, one of them piqued my interest because I graduated high school in 1985, ladies and gentlemen. This one is called Summer. Gosh, now I can't remember.
Last Week of Summer.
Last week of summer, and it takes place in 1986. And so it's man, I remember that summer after I graduated, packing in as much fun as I could before I had to be an adult. And so this one looks like it's going after that essence. So it made my number 3 of my top 3 games to look forward to next year. And then I saw that it's a first-time designer. I saw he's got a YouTube channel. I was like, we got to have this guy on, man. So ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Shawn, to talk about his.
I was glad
game.
to have heard from you. Glad to be on here. So thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your channel, man.
Yes.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel, I do it with my wife, Jess. We've been doing the channel for 4.5, 5 years. I don't know exactly. She would know exactly. I don't know exactly. Something like that. We started during COVID. So we've been doing that for a while. We talk about games, review games, top 10s, all that sort of thing. It's called Allies or Enemies. And yeah, and it's the two of us. And it was just kind of a fun thing we do on the weekends, really.
Nice. Cool. And you guys are located across the pond, as they say, right?
Yes.
We are, yeah, we are in London. We're both originally Canadians. Well, we're still Canadians, but we are transplanted Canadians to other parts of the realm of the Commonwealth.
Gotcha.
Very nice. Very nice.
Cool.
So where did you guys get the name? I have a theory, but I kind of want to listen to what the actual answer is before I give my theory.
So when we started doing the channel, we had decided we were going to do a video about a cooperative game, then a video about a competitive game, and we were going to do that back and forth and back and forth. We did about 6 videos, and we were like, we do not have as many cooperative games as we thought that we had, especially ones we wanted to talk about. So that went out the window at about video 8. So if you watch our first 8, you'll see that they go back and forth, and then we just got rid of it completely. So that is where it originally comes from.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I wondered because I was watching your guys' 2024 top 100 of all time, and you guys have made a lot of mentions about you two playing 2-player a lot. So I was like, I wonder if it's because they do a lot of co-ops and 2-player games.
Yeah, it is. We play mostly we play at 2-player. We play probably 95% of our games that we play at 2 players because we're both just game nuts. So we play a few years ago we played 1,500. We had 1,500 total plays.
Wow.
Not counting anything on BGA. So 1,500 in person total plays, which is
for the year.
Yeah, for 1 year, which is like the cry for help, I feel like. So we've scaled that back a little. I think in last year it was down to a much more reasonable, like 800-ish total plays, I think.
Man.
Yeah, we play a lot of games.
Man, you're living the dream right there, man.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Those of us that don't have wives as willing to play games are just flabbergasted by that.
Yes.
By that number. That's insane.
Right.
My
No,
wife-
Jess is almost the driving factor, I think.
That's
and it
cool.
helps that we keep track of everything, and our win-loss is almost exactly 50-50.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
think she
That's
has
cool.
just pipped ahead of me by 1%, but we're almost right on the money 50-50. So that makes it So every time we play, it's a pretty fair. It's usually fair. There's a few games I cannot beat her at. It doesn't matter what I do. I've just Fields of Arle. We've played 15 times. I've won 0 out of 15.
Oh my word!
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great
That's
game.
just shameful.
I know. I'm so sure that animal husbandry is the path to victory.
And it never quite
and
works out.
It
huh?
will be
It
someday.
The 16th time is when that's going to work.
Gosh,
There
that's
you go.
Well, I'm in a different spot. My wife used to play games before kids, and then like it's tapered off. But my oldest is now about to turn 14, and he's really getting into games. In
Oh,
fact,
really?
he played one of the most complex games I've played in a long time, and he
I was
picked it up and
impressed.
did great. And that would be Civolution from Stefan Feld, which is
Okay.
definitely the most complex game of his that I've ever played. It was great fun, though. You guys
Is
play
that
Yeah,
a
what time?
game-
How long
that the
did you
game-
play that game? How long did it take you?
like 4 or 5 hours. It was a long time. That
So
was, I
what
mean, that's
time-
with Teach. That's with Teach, but
Sure,
still,
but what time was it when it finished? I got to know because I left.
like 2 a.m. It was nuts.
For those of you that don't know, Andy is currently under investigation from Doge, the Department of Gaming Efficiency, because
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you
he,
talking about?
he will take a game that maybe should only last 2 hours, and yes, it's 4.5 hours by the time Andy gets done with it. but
I do struggle with a little AP at times.
yes.
We were actually at the table next to you, and Ryan was playing, and we heard you ask a question, and Ryan's question was, "Oh, is this the part of the game where Andy realizes he didn't listen to any of the rules at all, and now wants to see the rule book?"
Yep.
Yep.
Was that the game you wanted to talk about, Andy, or was there something else you were wanting to talk
No,
about?
that was it.
here?
I've been playing some more Stefan Feld lately, and that one was a great one. And I played an old one of his for the first time, Amerigo, which was a lot of fun.
Oh.
Man,
It looks terrible, but that's par for the course for Stefan Feld games. Unfortunately, is
becoming old man Andy on us.
they usually play awesome and look terrible. So
I was just, it is nice when you find a slightly older game that you kind of missed. And then
Right.
we played Western Legends is ours just recently that has been
Oh,
like kind of come
there
out
you
of
go.
nowhere. And it is, I love it. It's so much fun being cowboys.
Yeah,
That's
I would
awesome.
definitely try that one.
yeah, Amerigo and another one that is an older one that I found not too long ago was Quebec, which is really good actually too.
Oh,
There we
I love
go.
the sound of it.
There you
And
go,
it's
exactly.
Canadian.
It's
Oh
Canadian.
yeah, being from Canada, you got to track that one down, man. You'll learn
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Canadian history.
There you go.
I'm sure you need that, right? I don't know.
It's all a bunch of French. No.
All right. Well, we'll get into the show, but right before that, we just have two real quick announcements. One is our FBC Game Con that happens in April 11th and 12th. This is our annual event. This is our 11th annual, I believe it is, maybe 10th. I forget. I lose count. But if you're in the Gardner, Kansas area, greater Kansas City, it's worth the trip. We give away over 200 games, and we have wonderful sponsors like Lucky Duck Games, and we've also had local sponsors like Larry's Game Stores and Mission Board Games, and so many others. But come and join us. Also, this is going to be a plug for our soon-to-be merged Facebook groups. So I run Around the Boards Facebook group, and I run FBC Gamers Facebook group, and we're about to merge those. So if you're watching this right now, go ahead and join FBC Gamers on Facebook, and you'll be rewarded because we are about to start our March Madness of board gaming. And you can jump in there, and you could get your brackets submitted, and you have a chance to win a $100 gift card to a local game store in Kansas. I know if you win and you're not in Kansas, we'll talk. We'll talk. But yeah, so come and join that Facebook group and participate in the amazing awesomeness that is March Madness of board gaming. What? That's enough of the announcements. That's not what everybody's here for. They're here
What are they
for
here
what,
for?
Andy?
For
I
what?
don't know. You tell us. Tell us, Andy.
That's right. Around the Board is all about debating different topics within tabletop gaming in 4 unique segments, each hosted by one of us. A manic and sadistic behind-the-scenes judge will award points to whoever he chooses, and maybe to those who assert the topics as well. The best at the end, whoever has the most points will be awarded 2 minutes to prattle on about something. Now it's time to play the game. Round 1. Fight!
All right, round 1 is a discussion about our guest here, Shawn Holt, the designer of Last Week of Summer. And so first we'll just start out throwing it to him. And Shawn, will you give us a brief description of what is Last Week of Summer?
Yeah, so last week of summer it's 1986, as we talked about earlier, and
Mhm.
you've just finished high school. You got one more week left of summer before you got to go be a grown up. So you got to squeeze as much fun out of that week as you can, and it's a modular game. It's got 6 different modular locations. You use 4 of them each game. They're all classic '80s things. You got like an arcade, a video store, a skate park, a fast food restaurant, a record store, and each one of those has its own kind of mechanic that's tied to that. So the video store's got like a Mancala where you're moving around trying to decide what movies to rent. Skate park's got a polyomino puzzle for it. The arcade's just simple like dice rolling kind of gambling. You're pumping quarters into the machine sort of game. And you're doing all this through, you're all planning your turns at the same time by playing out cards to plan your day. And you're working or you're hanging out. You got cool kids that are around, you know where they are. You're trying to make friends with them. You're trying to go to parties, which are like who's doing the best on each different day. And all of that's mushed together into a worker placement ish, turn programming ish, highly interactive game.
Very cool.
Cool.
Now, I'm curious, with it being an 80s theme, do you get to use or reference IPs that no longer exist? Because
Uh,
I was curious about that, because there's so many things that don't exist that were in the 80s that.
right. Yeah. No, I didn't. Partly because I'm terrified of that sort of thing, but also because I like creating my own thing. So for each of these different locations, they'll have their own personality with their own logo, and their own kind of feel to them. And it was fun working with the artists that I work with to be able to put that together for each of those locations. So it was kind of too much fun to make our own thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, the
So how much
artwork.
of this comes
Oh,
from
right.
personal experience?
A lot of it. People have asked me, like, oh, well, you're trying to make like a nostalgic 80s game. And in honesty, I was just trying to make a game about the stuff I like now. Like, I'm just old. I didn't really even think about it like, oh, yeah, remember when we used to. I just think I would like to go to an arcade right now. I would like to go to a skate park, a video store, like, I would like to do this stuff currently. I don't really think of it as, oh, yeah, I used to love doing that stuff. I just think, why can't I do that now? So this came out of that. Really, it's very autobiographical. It's about 8 years too early, but 1986 is a more fun year than 1994. I feel like.
Yeah, that's good to hear that you're that age, because I was wondering, I was like, you don't look as old as John, because while
No.
John was graduating, I was just born 2 years before that. That was a freebie, but John, you asked your question.
Yeah, the artwork in this game is really cool. I love the style. I love the colors. I love everything about it. And I love how you leaned into the cassette tapes and the VHS tapes and things like that. How much of that was like originally you knew you want to do it, or just kind of evolved as you went along?
It all evolved. So it all started off. The early prototypes of this are me on like Word and Pages because I didn't have anything else to work with. So it's really pink and blue. It looks terrible. And as I came along, I realized like once it got time to work with an artist, I ended up working with George Brad, who did the cover. And his background is more animation video games, but also he's done some like kind of architecture stuff, so he was great to work with for building a little cityscape out. And how he did that was really cool too. And then the graphic design it was a couple of friends that I was working with that were, doing little bits and pieces for me. And then I was trying to do it myself. And my one buddy, Judson Cohen, who did Deep Regrets. I don't know if you guys know this game, but he was in Edinburgh. He's a fellow Edinburgh board gamer when I was living there. And he kept giving me feedback and I kept trying to fix it. And finally he was like, dude, just do it like this, and just made one for me, just made a board and was like, do it like here's kind of what I would suggest. And it blew me away with like how spot on to what I was trying to do it was. And then that gave me this awesome roadmap and I was kind of able to do the rest. And some of the other illustrations also George Pratt that's inside, but it's a real mishmash of like favors from friends and artists as well, and working artists as well. So it's yeah, it really it takes a village.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. Andy, anything else?
Well, I mean, this is just a personal question. I'm curious because you said you've been in the UK like 8 years now. Were you into board games before you went to the UK? And if so, what's the difference in the culture between the two and board gaming? Is there a big difference or?
It's so hard to say. Yeah, I was. I played games my whole life. So as a little kid, I would play all the time with my mom. We played games constantly. And then I really got into games around when Carcassonne came out. So what is that,
Was it
2000?
2004, 2001? Yeah,
Yeah,
2001,
something
I
like
think.
that.
Well, let's
Yeah.
look it
Yeah,
up.
so around that time when it was like Carcassonne, Ticket to Ride,
Mhm.
that kind of wave of games, I really got into those. But then I left Canada, I left all those games behind. And so when we came here, and we had a bit of a break where Jess and I were traveling around, we didn't have a lot of room in a suitcase for games. So we only owned like 4 games. We had like Takanoko traveled with
Yes.
us. Our copy of Takanoko is destroyed. Like we could never resell that. And so once we got here, we really got back into it. And it's hard to say because I think the world board game culture changed a ton in that exact same
True.
period, where it went from that like there was a few of these little games, but people thought of them as like, oh, I've got this game that doesn't have dice. Like I remember explaining Ticket to Ride to people as like, it's crazy, it's so complex, it doesn't have any dice, it's going to blow your mind. And I
Right.
think at the time it kind of was. And then it was this huge leap in kind of what people were doing. And that happened kind of while we were traveling around and doing stuff. So once we landed here, there were board game cafes, there was this other culture. So
Cool.
yeah, I haven't really seen what it's like back home comparatively.
Yeah.
I
So
gotcha.
it's so tough to tell. But I think, I guess the one big difference with British people is we all play pinkies out. That's the big
There
thing.
you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You're properly cultured, unlike us.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I
You
knew
gotta
it.
do
I
that.
knew that's how they did
Savages.
it.
Savages across the pond. So
All right. Well, I have a question about your game, and that is, I was doing some research on it, and I noticed that you were doing an unboxing of it, and I was like, wow, this game must already be out. So I went to Kickstarter, and there's just a preview page. Are you telling me that this game might actually be out in 2025 because you already have most of the bugs worked out?
We've got it, it's our first Kickstarter, so I don't want to make any promises at all. But a big thing for us was to have it pretty much all the way finished before we put it on Kickstarter. That was a
Nice.
huge thing we wanted to do because I hope is, and I know on this first one that timeline will be a little longer than my hope is, but my hope is to use Kickstarter more like how Garfield Games uses Kickstarter, where they're
Yeah.
basically ready to go, but then they're putting it out and they're doing tweaks and stuff after the fact. But yeah, I wanted to have a product that I could be like, this is basically the product. There's going to be changes from that because right now I've got 2 prototypes. This is just so I've got stuff for conventions. These are the only copies that exist in the world, are the ones behind my head. And we've got right now the characters that you're using, the little wooden guys are just, those are like, 100 for $5 guys that I bought out of like a board game supply store.
Gotcha.
So those are obviously going to change a lot. There's going to be a bunch of stuff like that, but I was pretty honestly happy with how like the cassettes turned out from that first prototype. The boards, I got a list, I got a whiteboard filled with probably 30, 40 things I want to change. But what you see there is hopefully going to be along the lines of where we end up. Yeah.
One more question about your game real quick.
oh yeah, go ahead.
You go into the different places and everybody's, deciding where they want to go. And then you're playing these mini games. Is any of that simultaneous action or or how long do these turns take?
So all of the deciding is simultaneous, and that comes from I am not a patient person. Like I like games to move fast.
Mhm.
So all of your thinking is going to happen simultaneous. You're laying out your cards, but when you go to the places, that is going to happen separately. But they're like tiny worker space actions. So it's the sort of thing like in an Uwe Rosenberg game, right? Like you don't feel like you're sitting around while someone exchanges their 4 wood for a cow. It's like they're very different actions than that, but they're a similar kind of time of action, maybe a little longer sometimes. Sometimes you're flipping the food fast food place, for instance. It's all you can eat fast food, so it's a little push your luck game where you can keep flipping stuff, but if you eat too much,
There it
you're gonna
goes.
get sick.
Yeah.
So you got to stop before you get to that point because then you can move up these different tracks. But if you get sick, all you remember is the thing you threw up. So all you move up is one on that track.
Yeah.
So when you got a game like that, it's going to take 20 seconds
Yeah.
instead of 1 or 2 seconds.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's really the part that you're taking turns. And also, I found people want to watch people do those things. Like people like being invested in and people will try to, make the person eat too much. They'll
Yeah.
try to, you
That's
want to
awesome.
have that interaction
Very
of
good.
goading them. And at the
Yep.
arcade, you want to be like, come on, don't be a wuss. Roll that dice. Pay
Yeah.
your $1. You can do it this time.
I love the
So-
game within the game deal, and I'm curious, what is the total playtime you're aiming for, or so far you've got?
Yeah, so a long game of this, like if you're playing with 4 players, is hour 15. And
Okay.
that's if people are like kind of taking their time at it. When you're playing with 2
Yeah.
players, 45 minutes to an hour, like an hour if you're really kind of, enjoying yourself, dawdling a little bit, thinking about things. But yeah, my wife and I can play this in 40 minutes easy. So
Nice.
yeah, it moves at a real quick pace.
I have 2 things. One, I think that's the best quote in all board gaming, or theme, I should say, of press your luck eating at a fast food restaurant. Like that's top notch. Like that's going to be talked about for years to come. My other question for you, my real question for you is, in a world where we are oversaturated with board games, like we're always trying to find what's different. What does this game bring to the table that's I'm not going to find somewhere else? So like, what is that about summer or last week of summer that I would find? What's unique about it?
Right. What is kind of the different thing? Well, I'm hoping kind of what I want to do with my games, and I've got a whack more designs as well. A whack being about 12, as we all know. That is the general term. But yeah, I've got a bunch more games too. And really, it's kind of a fun first theme. Like I'm big on just having a theme that is obviously fun. And so I want to have something that brings people in. And even if you weren't in the 80s, you're still going to be able to kind of grab onto that. There's going to be something, even for a kid now who's 16, they've eaten too much at a fast food restaurant, right? They've done that. They've got the sense of, in my record store one, it's a market manipulation game. So you buy albums and albums get cool, but if they get too cool, they drop to the bottom and they're not cool anymore because music's not cool once it's too cool. So people can kind of grab onto that. So yeah, so I want, I want the theme to mirror the mechanics. Like I want those 2 things to be really heavily intertwined all the time. And I want it to just be fun. Like I want kind of everything you're doing to just feel fun. And so that's kind of the core thing that I'm really running to. And I think it has felt, and there are definitely other games, like it's not different than the board game world because of that, because there's plenty of games that put fun first and have that fun in every part of it. But I think it's so bright and it's so like kind of obviously happy. And I think we probably don't get, I don't want to say we don't get enough, because there's some beige games I love with all my heart. Probably most beige games I love with all my heart. But I think there is kind of room in the market for something that is those bright day glow colors as well.
Nice.
Yes.
And so if we're getting close to con season, whoops.
There it is.
There it is. I have to get that in. I'm curious, will you be at Gen Con, or will you be at Origins or anything demoing this, or?
I'll be at the ones over here. So I'll be at AirCon, which takes place at Harrogate and is probably my favorite convention of the year, because it is all, it's just all playing. It's just a super fun, joyful event. It takes place at Harrogate, which is near York, probably a bit of a trek for you guys. And then I'll be at UKGE. Sorry. And then I will also be at UKGE in the summer, which is the one that happens in Birmingham. And then I might be at a couple of the littler conventions here too, Paradise and the Canterbury board game convention, perhaps. But I got to look into those still.
Cool.
Very nice. Well, we got to
Awesome.
get some passports so we can come visit
There you go. Shawn, thanks for coming on and talking about your game, man. And thanks again. Thanks also for hanging out and doing the rest of the show. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
Shawn's
thanks
going to
for
stay
having me.
here and do the rest of the show with us. And we'll see how he does in these next 3 segments. Okay.
Shawn, tell us, when is your game going to go live on Kickstarter?
Yeah, so it's going to be late this spring. Our hope right now is late April, but like I say, we want to have everything nailed down before we get to that launch. So we're making sure that that all comes together, but expect it late spring, hopefully late April.
Very cool.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, make sure you check out Shawn's game. We'll have a link to in the description so you can follow his game and get all the updates, and make sure you're backing in on day 1.
Round 2. Fight!
All right, so in round 2, we are going with the world famous, the award winning, the best segment ever. It's not Board Game Karen, it's Play Shelf Trade. Yes, Play Shelf Trade is where we take 3 games that are somewhat related, maybe in theme, style, or mechanics, and we pit them against each other. So we're looking at 3 games today, and since we have Shawn Holt, creator of Last Week of Summer, we went with all 80s games. So the 3 games
theme.
that sorry, you're right, 80s themed games, because who really wants to play a game that came out in the 80s, because we all know it's evolved. Okay, well, John might, actually Chris probably would.
Chris would definitely.
Yeah, doesn't matter. These are things that are going to make you feel like you're reliving someone's childhood who lived in the 80s, and these are the 3 games that we are pitting against each other today. First one is Fireball Island from Restoration Games. This is a re-implementation of an old, I think it was the 80s, could have been 90s.
I believe
honestly.
it was 80s.
Yeah, it's probably 80s.
1986, I think.
There we
There you
go.
go.
87,
Nice.
yeah.
So we're totally within the bounds of the rules here. So Fireball Island, it's just a fun game where you are moving around the island, avoiding fireballs that are falling down. Restoration really gamified it, so it took a kid's game and actually made it into something gamers would want to play. The next one is Skate Summer from Pandasaurus, and this game is a push your luck game about skating in the, we're going to say the 80s. Honestly, the aesthetic may look like it came out right now, but we all know skating started in the 80s, and they need to be credited with the birth of this hobby, of skating hobby, not the board gaming hobby. So we're going to award it an 80s theme. And then finally, because everyone knows that Andy is the master of the universe, this is Simon's He-Man. It is just a skirmish game, 1 versus many, and
Clash for Eternia.
Clash for Eternia. Okay,
There
I
we
was
go.
way off. Okay, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Clash for Eternia. Wow, that is a very long,
It's a long time.
title. All right. Well,
You know what you're getting with that, though. You understand everything that will be in
This
that
is
box.
true.
I appreciate
This
that.
is true.
I love that you said that, Shawn, because not everyone actually knew what they were getting, apparently, because Andy, well,
Oh,
this might come up in the play shelf trade, so
Yeah.
I'll let Andy tell the
Yes.
story when it's his turn. So for anybody who is watching this for the first time, we go around the board, and I will start, and we will talk, and then we'll also have a little bit of banter if you want to make fun of our picks, or we can razz each other after that. So this is my picks. My play is going to be Skate Summer, and the reason that is my play, no, let me back up. I always screw this up
Already. That was quick.
already. Gosh. Okay. No, my play is not Skate Summer. It is He-Man Masters of the Universe. I love these one
Clash for
versus many
Eternia.
games. Clash for Eternia. I love these chunky model games where you're fighting each other. While it would have been better if it was Marvel themed, I'd be willing to play a He-Man game. I love one versus many, and I would be excited to see the campaign in this game and all the stories that it would tell. Now my trade is going to be Skate Summer, and the reason that's my trade is because I actually had it, and someone described it to me being like Quaxaquidlenberg, which apparently there is no like pulling things from a bag, but I don't like pressure luck. I can have fun when I play a game, but pressure luck drives me insane. I hate having zero control over what actually happens in my game, and I get true game rage when pressure luck does not go my way. But as Shawn said, that Last Week of Summer has a little pressure luck mini game. I'm okay if it's a small part. I just can't have it be the whole thing. And then finally, Fireball Island is my shelf because I have it up here on my shelf. I've backed everything for it. I love to play it with the kids, and it is a good time for everyone involved. I need to play it with adults more often, though, because I've only played it with kids. So there you
Fair
go.
enough.
That was my play shelf
Fair
trade.
enough.
John,
right,
what do
John.
you got?
Well, sometimes I really hate going after Daniel, and there
Because
wasn't
I'm
enough.
so good and convincing.
And there's not enough trade options for this. For those of you who don't know at home, this was Daniel's segment, so I deferred to him on what games were going to be on this, and I'm not excited about the games that are on this. So let's get into it, shall we? Well,
shall.
we've got Skate Summer, which looks like a themeless mess, and
Oh, come on.
I'm thinking, if I'm going to get Last Week of Summer this year, why would I even bother with Skate Summer? So Skate Summer is going to be my trade just right off the bat right there. I've not heard. I've heard very mixed reviews on Skate Summer, most to the lower side of the reviews. So I'm not really excited about that one. He-Man, if it was a different theme, that would be my shelf. He-Man is going to be my play because just playing with those chunky guys at least one time would be fun. You know, all these big pieces and stuff. I was
chunky guys
for He-Man. I didn't buy the He-Man toys. I wasn't asking for the He-Man toys, but I'm aware of the He-Man toys and the cartoon and all that stuff. So there's enough there. And then with the big Grayskull, Castle, Grayskull, what have you, I think it would be a fun play one time at least. So that's probably my play. You know what? I wish I knew somebody that had the Resident Evil game, because that's the theme I would get into with this, but I'm afraid to buy it myself because it's very expensive and who would play it with me? So there we go. That's a little side that's free of charge. And then Fireball Island, even though I have traded it, is going to be my shelf because it was fun, but I couldn't get both of my kids to play it. The one I thought would like to play it didn't like to play it. So you can only play it 2 players so many times. And so Fireball Island is going to be my shelf. Once again, it'll be back on my shelf until I trade it again. But so that's mine. Identical to Daniel's. Dang it, I hate it when I'm identical to Daniel, but there we go. Sean, what do
you like chunky guys? So that was pretty
I knew that was going to come up.
Yep. And I was going to say, what theme do you want instead of He-Man? But I guess you said Resident Evil. But
Resident Evil, I would love to play that game. But
if you had to pick an 80s theme, what would you do?
Oh,
what
an 80s theme.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Okay.
Maybe.
How about the Stranger Things game?
Oh yeah, I would like to play that game, but that was supposed to be on the list. But what's the movies that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in where he was
Terminator?
No, where he's an army guy.
Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten
Commando or something like that. You know,
who is your daddy and what does he do?
Commando.
I think that would be fun with the He-Man, done like the He-Man. But
okay, there's a great video game for that. I'm the opposite of you, John. I'm actually interested in all 3 of these games.
Okay, good.
Skate Summer for me. So when you're making a game, when I was making last week of summer, well, I still kind of am, but it's like a 2.5, 3 year process. This has been, and every now and then a game will come out that I'm like, oh no, is that similar? And I'll see the name of a game and it'll come out and I'm like, oh, phew, this is not the same thing. And Skate Summer was definitely one of those where I saw that theme and, you know, got a little nervous, and then I saw it and thought, great, this is totally different. But I have always wanted to play it. I've always wanted to give it a shot because it looks real pretty, and it's skateboarding. So I do want to play that. My shelf is Fireball Island because I have loved that since I was I got that as a Christmas present one year, and I played it so much, like the original version. And it's flawed. Let's be honest. But boy, is it fun to shoot marbles at people. And when I have friends over, I had some friends over not that long ago that are kind of like serious people, like reasonable, like businessy people. And having them walk around an island and like drop marbles into Volkor's head is so fun that I love having a game like that I can play with folks. And then He-Man is my trade, and that's mostly, I love He-Man. I like basically any 80s cartoon, but I live in London. We do not have a lot of space in London for games. So anything that is going to come in a big box or multiple boxes and is going to have minis, I can't. I would love to. I have no space for that. So I'm sorry, Simon. I just have no space for your games. So I got to trade He-Man.
That's
cool.
good.
That makes sense.
All
That's
right.
really cool that you played the original Fireball Island as a kid. That's awesome.
Yeah, I still have it in my dad's
really?
garage somewhere. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
So I got you said your last week of summer was like kind of reminiscent of your childhood a little bit. You try to fit it in there. Are there any board game references in there? Could we find like a Fireball
Easter
Island
egg?
knockoff?
No, there aren't. Yeah, we've thought about, and when I made it, so like I say that there are 6 locations. There, over the course of time, have been, I don't know, 15 different locations that have bounced in and out and have different iterations. And one of those was a D&D one. And that had little board game things. The problem was it ended up being such a big game of its own. It was way too much. It overpowered everything. So we had to get rid of it. But I like the idea of a location being your friend's basement.
Yes, that's great.
This
Maybe
will be your next
expansion. That
game.
sounds like you have a lot of expansion fodder.
Yes. Or just another game.
Yeah,
Maybe that could be its own game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's infinitely expandable.
There you go.
That's awesome. All right, Andy, what did your play shelf trade? I want to hear about this He-Man.
Are you familiar with any of these games, Andy?
It's going to surprise you guys. I am familiar with some of them. So what they're referencing is that I went all in on He-Man because I was a He-Man fanboy as a kid. That was right in my wheelhouse. I mean, I've got stories I can tell, like the story where we went to an amusement park and they have a train ride and they have this fake robbery of the train. And that happened, and I'm probably 5 years old, and I stand up and I say, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," and just weird stuff like that. I was a weird child, but big He-Man fan. So I got this. I went
at a childhood.
What's that?
Your weirdness didn't stop at childhood.
Can I always ask this of any He-Man fan? Did you own Stinkor? And did it get on all the rest of your toys?
I don't remember if I had Stinkor. I know I had Ram Man and Buzz Off and a bunch of them, but I'm not sure I had Stinkor.
You would know, because Stinkor was like a skunk He-Man, and he smelled awful.
Really?
And friends would have to put him in like Ziploc bags and then put him with the rest of their toys, because one of my friends didn't, and all of his He-Man toys smelled like skunk. It worked so well, and it was so gross.
I must have somehow avoided Stinkor, but anyway. So I went all in on this game when I saw the theme and everything, and I just like I don't even care what the game does. I want it, and then I got it, and yeah, I'm not a huge, and I know it's not completely co-op, but I'm just not. That's not my wheelhouse usually, and I've played it once or twice now, and it's okay. I believe it or not, I'm going to keep it on my shelf, though.
What?
Okay.
I know for a few reasons. One, I need to give it another shot. And my kids are starting to get at the age where doing some sort of campaign type stuff will really be fun with them. And so I'm going to try and do that. And I'm going to try and introduce them to the He-Man cartoons. So I'm going to keep it on the shelf. And the other reason is it's the most valuable game by far. I hate to pull a Chris here, but it's worth a lot of money. So, I mean, I went all in. So it's staying on the shelf. And by the way, I just thought I'd bring up this little tidbit of information. The guy who voiced He-Man, John Irwin, actually just passed away here recently.
Oh, no way. I think I did see that. You're right.
So that's kind of an interesting note. But what else? My play is going to be the Skate Summer game. Unlike Daniel, I do like a little pressure luck. In fact, one game that I like a lot that Daniel hates, and it's from years ago, was the game Manila.
Ooh, I hate that so much.
If you haven't played the game Manila, it's actually pretty fun, and it's push your luck.
Still makes me angry.
Oh, I like that game.
What is it? Is it? Please tell me it's about the envelopes.
That's what I was hoping.
No, unfortunately, it's not. You're loading goods on boats, but you're placing workers in different places and gambling that they'll work out good for you. And
but you have no guarantee that they're going to. It's maddening.
It's fun. It's fun times. So I'm curious to try out Skate Summer, and it looks cool. Unlike John, I think it looks like it has a lot of theme, and I think it looks really cool. All the colors, very much, similar to maybe Last Week of Summer. Last Week of Summer might be way better. So it sounds like very different games. So excited to try both.
I'm hoping they're both good. I'm sure there's room in the world for all. Yeah, I just want more skateboarding games. Please.
There you go.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
There you go. You need to get Tony Hawk. Get the IP with Tony Hawk somehow. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. A Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the board game. I am all over that.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So that leaves Fireball Island as my trade. And I know that probably saddens some of you. I didn't have it as a kid, and so I don't have the attachment. And I haven't tried it, so maybe that's my fault. But it was the one that I was like, I could probably do without this. So
I bet your kids would love that.
It's good if you're going to play with the kids, but like playing with adults, I'm not sure. I'm actually kind of surprised, Shawn, you had played it with adults so often. Nobody wants to play it with me.
I love playing kids games with adults. I love it. We play so much Rhino Hero.
Nice.
A lot of
that's a good one too.
What is the one with the penguins in the school? All of a sudden I'm
Ice Cool.
Ice Cool.
Ice Cool. Yeah, I'm always making folks play Ice Cool, and
that is fun.
The more serious the adult, the sillier the game, because it is so fun to get people to play those sorts of games that are a little out of their comfort zone, and then they have a blast. I'm such a proponent of playing kids games with adults.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There are our 80 theme play shelf trade. We would have loved to have put last week of summer on that, but somebody on this panel might have been a little skewed. But if this is the only episode you're watching, this is Shawn Holt. He is the designer of last week of summer. That's why we keep bringing it up. There'll be a description down below to follow his game. It goes live on Kickstarter, hopefully in spring or April.
Yeah, late spring is the hope. Is April still spring? I don't know what
Sure.
these crazy seasons.
Sure it is.
Yeah. It's
That's
spring
right in the middle
until
of spring.
June 21st is when summer starts, I think.
All right. Well,
Okay,
let us.
yeah, I'm from Canada, so summer starts and ends in July. So
That's fair. All right. Well, guys, let us know what your play shelf trade is, and let us know how soon are you going to back Shawn's game last week of summer.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we were going to take a quick break here, and when we get back, we'll do more of the game.
We'll return after these messages.
Speaking of 80s callback.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for that information, and let's get started with the game again, shall we? Round 3. Fight!
Board game, believe it or not.
All right, round 3 comes to me once again for our award-winning Believe It or Not segment. In this segment, I will have a collection of games. Today I've got, I think, 7 games. Some of them are real, some of them are fake, ones that I've made up. And we're going to go around, and they're all 80s, all games that came out in the 80s this time. And so we're going to go around, and everybody's going to choose a number between 1 and 7. Then it'll dwindle as people take them, and we'll read the game name, the year it came out, a brief description, and everybody will say whether they believe it or not. If you guess it right, you get a point. If I fool 2 people, I get a point. I usually don't get very many points, but we talk about some fun games. So since he is our guest,
Well, John, hold on. I got a question. Why are we doing 80s themes?
Oh, the reason we're doing 80s themes, we have Shawn on over here, right here to my left on the screen. And he is the creator of Last Week of Summer that's going to be coming out, which is an 80s themed game where you're 1986. You're trying to get the most out of your last week of summer. So, and he might talk about it while he's talking about these games. Who knows? Maybe they'll compare to his game. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring up some kind of a feel for his game. Maybe they will. Maybe he'll force it in there. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway.
I might.
But anyway, Shawn.
Is this your way of trying to get one of your games published?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Shawn, if you like one of these games, I mean, you can use it.
Yeah, exactly. But Shawn, if you want to pick a number between 1 and 7, buddy, I will look it up here and give out.
No, it's got to be number 3, right?
Number 3
Yeah.
is going to be Go For It with an exclamation point from 1986. In Go For It, 2 to 6 players compete in 4 different categories: house and home, wheels, feeling good, and going places. A totally rad game played on a board that resembles a calendar year, so you're moving around through the whole year. If you think you have what it takes, announce on Labor Day that you're going to go for it. If you have sufficient status in all 4 categories by the next Labor Day, you win. So you have to tell everybody you're going to go for it before you get your statuses up. And so it's a lot of 80s theme about, status on your house, your home, wheels, all that good stuff. So what do you think, Shawn? Does this sound like a game that came out in 1986? Do you believe it or not?
Yes, I owned it.
Shawn is
I
a
played
believe it.
this
He's claiming he owned
regularly
this game.
with my mom, and I have played this a ton. I remember the box. You had these really cool cars. You had this awesome... You had a bunch of different houses you could have, and there was one in New York. There are all these big ones, but there was this apartment in New York, and I remember thinking, that's the house I want to live in. I don't need all that space. Who can heat it? I was a very, very economically minded 8-year-old.
There you go.
Thinking about these things. But go for it. 100% real game.
Okay, Shawn is not gaming the system here at all.
Or am I really?
Or is he?
It well?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Andy?
it could be a deep fake, a deep
Andy,
sell
what do you
there.
think,
Yeah.
buddy? Do you believe Shawn? You don't know Shawn very well.
I don't. I think he's up to no good. I'm going to say it's not a real game.
We have a believe and a no. Andy
Just-
stays true to his nature.
Wow.
Just going to play
Going
the odds
against
here,
whoever
yeah.
said the first one. Yeah.
Man, well, I will say, if I was being a very honest person, I was going to say I didn't believe it. Because for one, what in the world are you actually going for? You said you got to declare you're going for it?
You're going for it. It's very clear.
You're going for it.
Yeah.
But I believe Shawn, and I want to steal the victory from John's grasp. So I'm going to say I believe it.
Well, believe it or not, Go For It did come out in 1986, and that there you go. Yeah, I thought the description made it sound so fake that what a
that
weird
was the
sounding
best
game.
real fake game you've picked out, John.
Thank
That
you.
game sounds like garbage. Like,
It is. It's legitimately good. I liked this game as a kid, and I bet I still like it. It's like Better Careers.
Oh,
Okay.
really? Okay, because Careers was really fun.
Why Memorial Day to Memorial Day?
Labor Day.
What an
Labor Day.
odd- Okay, well, regardless, what a weird
And Labor Day was like the payday. Am I right, Sean? I was like when you got paid.
Yeah. It
'Cause
makes
labor,
sense. It's like school.
School.
I still think of my years as Labor Day to Labor Day because that's when school starts.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then school, and then I always think of the beginning of my years, beginning of September.
Sure.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
this game was in sync with me.
Gotcha. So does your game last week of summer end at Labor Day then?
It doesn't officially, but in its heart,
okay.
it does.
Okay.
Yeah. In its heart. And in my game, you have 1 week because you only got 1 week of summer. But I guess it kind of does because that's the end of summer.
That's
and
the end of summer, man. Yeah.
serious
last
people
week.
Things.
You can't wear white
Labor
anymore.
Day, yeah,
It's not
you
too
gotta
late to
start
put that
with
in the
labors.
theme. Just saying.
Yeah. Labor Day there at the end of the week.
Last week of summer, yeah, it's very Canadian. Yeah, well, I don't know if anything in it is actually Canadian, but in my head it's Canadian because I'm Canadian, so I think of it as Canadian.
yeah.
But even if you look at the box cover, it's got the mountains in the background, and that's kind of because I grew up in Calgary. We got the mountains in the background from the suburbs, so
Nice.
there's nothing in it that's Canadian, but also everything is secretly
Exactly.
subliminal. That's what we do. That's how Canadians work. We're very subliminal.
Well, hopefully they won't put any tariffs on this game. So
Let's hope not.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's hashtag too soon. I apologize.
Yeah. Hashtag right now.
Remember how we tell you that Andy is always the one we have to edit?
Pretty much.
All right,
Andy,
John.
while
Let's go.
Andy, while you're talking, why don't you go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 6?
Let's go with number 4.
Number 4. It's going to be right here. How about Wizard's Keep from 1989? In Wizard's Keep, up to 4 adventurers will embark on a journey to stop the evil wizard goblin from subjecting the entire kingdom to his will. You must climb up through the wizard's castle floor by floor on an LED illuminated board. Find weapons to battle the wizard's mind slaves, artifacts to power up, and ancient tomes to learn how to defeat the evil awaiting in Wizard's Keep. Andy, what do you think, buddy? In 1989, did Wizard's Keep come out?
Did they even have LED in that year?
I don't,
Because
you
that
tell
stuck
me.
out to me.
They had LSD.
Well, they definitely
That was the 70s.
that was the 70s.
It went away in the 80s. I forgot.
I'm going to say false based on that one little miscue that you did there, I think. So I'm going to say you.
So you think LEDs were not invented in 1989? Okay. Daniel, what about you, buddy? Wizard's Keep.
So yeah, I was gonna say the same thing because just like A-Tracks, they just didn't. They
don't
didn't
start
have
this stuff.
They just don't exist.
No such thing as an A-track.
I know. I just said that they don't exist. And
okay.
and also, goblins are not wizards. Anybody who's ever played Dungeons and Dragons and any kind of fantasy thing just knows that you have to have a very smart and intelligent being to be a wizard, and goblins are anything but. So I have to go false on the premise of goblins can't be wizards. So,
Goblins can't be wizards, says Daniel.
no.
Sean, what do you
Wow.
say, buddy?
Well, first of all, I'm not holding back goblins like some people on this panel.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Sean.
I'm big on, hey, goblins, you can be whatever you want to be if you're listening.
That's
But
right.
also, I happen to know that in 1977, Daniel LED invented the LED. He did it
There
in
you
Regina,
go.
Saskatchewan. And that was the first, yeah, you don't know it's named after a person. Everyone thinks it's an acronym.
Wow.
Daniel LED, inventor of the LED. And so I do think that this is a real thing. So I'm saying Wizards Keep, real game.
We got
I
one
want to know if
believe,
I want to know if he's
believe.
trolling us right now with this LED story.
I hope he
That's-
is. I hope
if
he
that's
is.
real or not.
Well, then they shoehorn the weird acronym light emitting diodes in there afterwards. Just
Right? Yeah. I don't know who came up with that nonsense.
But Andy and Daniel, give me a break. LEDs existed in the 70s.
well, I didn't know that because
Do you remember the old little handheld football games? That's all LEDs.
well, I was thinking of Light Bright. Do you remember Light Bright? Those were incandescent lights.
Yeah.
Weren't they
I remember
incandescent?
Yeah, and if you touched them, you burned your fingertips
exactly.
off.
Exactly.
Anyway, Wizards Keep sounds like a game that came out in 1989, but believe it or not, I made that up. And so, unfortunately, the two people that said it was wrong for the wrong reasons.
No,
Shawn was the
right
most
reasons.
convincing, but he was the one that was wrong. So.
Okay, I'll give you Shawn. Like, I get it. You can be whatever you want to be. I understand. But this is 1989. Goblins aren't wizards. I'm just saying. That was a mistake on your part.
Well, Milton Bradley doesn't know that.
Oh no, they knew
All
that.
they know is Dungeons and Dragons is hot. We got to make something. That's all they knew. That was my thought anyway. All right, Daniel, you little jerk. One through 5. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with 5.
Number 5. So just one over there. Okay, how about this one?
Actually, I should have.
What?
No, I should have picked 3 because Shawn said that we have to pick 3.
I got
Oh
it.
yeah,
No.
you got
But
it.
I-
You
can I
got
change my mind?
5 outlandish.
To respect, yeah, exactly. So to respect our guess, I would love to go to number 3.
No,
instead.
5 is an 80s iconic number. George Brett.
Okay, which are
Or
we doing?
Johnny 5, Short Circuit.
There you go.
Okay, we're doing
Look,
5.
5
All right.
works great for the 80s.
Number 5. How about this little game? Gag Me with a Spoon. Came out in 1984. In this wild party game of revolting choices, players will be offered up to 5 options, all of them bad. But which one is the worst? Which one will make you say, gag me with a spoon? Players will make their own secret choice, as well as guessing which option will be the most popular or most gag-worthy if you prefer. Eat a bowl of soup with a dirty sock in it, lick the wheels of a skateboard, kiss my sister, gag me with a spoon. Daniel? Gag me with a spoon, man. What do you think? Did that come
You got
out?
me rolling. So for our intros today, I Google searched like 80 terms and stuff
Yeah.
because I thought about maybe we would go with 80 slings, slang, and I saw that gag me with a spoon,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I thought that was a 90s thing because my sister would always say gag me with a fork. So like
Oh,
I think
really?
90s it got more
hardcore.
intense.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's the
it did.
grunge. That's the grunge, era there. That's,
Yeah, well, Debbie Gibson grunge was what my sister was. No, I'm gonna say it's false. That sounds like something that would come out today with like the mouth thing that they got going on. Where you put the mouth and you have to talk, and you got saliva
well, it's not
coming out.
okay. All right, whatever your reasoning is, makes sense to you, I guess. Okay, so Daniel, I don't care if you guys are right or wrong. It just cracks me up the way you reason it out. So Daniel says he is a no believe because that's when we pry mouths open, is in the night, whatever that means. Okay, Shawn, what do you think, buddy? Does this sound like something that came out in 1984?
No, I don't think so. I feel like gag me with a spoon was something that people said in the 80s, but I never one time in my life heard someone actually say gag me with a spoon. I know it was in a movie. It was in at least a couple of movies. It was said, but I don't think anyone ever actually said it. And I can't imagine this game existing. I don't think so.
Shawn is an I don't think so. So he is a
Well,
no
Shawn,
believe.
I can just like you knew about that first game. I can tell you, gag me with a spoon was a thing. We said it all the time, apparently.
Maybe
we
not
really
in
did.
Canada.
Maybe not in Canada,
Didn't
but
say in
here in
Canada.
Junction City, Kansas.
Because that spoon had some very delicious syrup in it. So that you don't.
Yeah, all of our spoons in Canada come pre-syruped.
That's right.
It's one
That
of
isn't
our
gonna gag
rules.
anybody. That's
Yeah,
you're gonna
our
lap
Governor
that up.
General checks every spoon, makes sure that they have syrup.
Andy, what do you think, buddy? Does your syrup have a spoon or I don't know? What are we talking about?
This is a
That's
real game.
real,
I
it's not
played
real.
it. I played this game. It's real. I remember I lost and I had to kiss my sister. It was terrible.
So Andy, is that your final answer?
Yeah,
As
sure,
the
why not?
other game?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Well, believe it or not, Gag Me with a Spoon is a game I made up. It did not.
Oh.
before. So there
that
you go.
was
Yeah,
I
I remember
started off
saying
with
gag me with the
oh,
spoon.
and then you fooled me with how you said it.
Yeah.
So it turned into a different O as I went.
There you go.
I guess what I thought I played was more of a dream, and I'm gonna have to process that with my therapist or something.
I hope you have therapy tomorrow because you just went somewhere that disturbing.
Oh. All right, we got time for one more, I think, real quick, Shawn. What number do you want? 1 through 5 is what we got left.
It's got to be
4, my
2,
bad.
right? 2.
1 through 4. You gonna do
Obviously.
3 again?
No,
He said 2.
No,
2.
3.
Okay.
No one does 3 anymore.
Okay, 3 is so last round. Okay.
Who does number 2 work for?
I don't know what to do anymore.
Number 2, here we go. Last one. Rocky from 1985. In the Rocky board game, you get to take on the identity of Rocky or one of his 3 main combatants from the film series. Each player has his own deck of cards. Each round, players play 8 cards, one at a time, from the top of their deck simultaneously. Whoever wins each of these exchanges will move the pawn 1 notch on the championship belt towards your opponent's KO area. Either knock out your opponent or win the most rounds to capture the belt in Rocky. What do you think, Shawn? You can be Rocky, you can be Clubber Lang, you can be all these guys.
I think it is, and I think because there were so many TV and movie tie-in games, and I used to love them. One of my favorite games as a kid was Family Ties.
Yes.
The Family Ties themed game.
The game was good?
No, but I
okay.
liked it.
Okay.
You had to keep Skippy out of the family picture. There was an LA Law one that was unplayable, where you would just argue real cases, and that was the game. But
Great.
there were so many of these that I can't imagine that there wasn't a Rocky, because Rocky's awesome.
There you
So
go.
there must have been. Although I'm disappointed that there's only 3 bad guys, because that means no Thunder Lips, and I would have loved to.
Thunder
fight
Lips was
Thunder
not in
Lips.
it. No.
Yeah, but I'm going to say yes. That is definitely a game.
Okay,
We
so
all
we've
love
got
Thunder Lips.
one. It has to be. Andy, what do you say?
Did you say in the description? Did you talk about card? Was it deck building that you mentioned?
No, it's each player has their, like, Ivan Drago has his deck of cards. Rocky has his deck of cards.
Oh, okay.
You
Okay.
flip
It
them
looked
over
like
one at
I
a
thought
time
I
on
heard
the top.
deck building, and I thought that was a dead giveaway.
And
that
you
didn't
do
exist.
8 cards to make a round, or unless somebody gets knocked out.
I'm going to say it's false, just to play the odds.
There we go. Metagame Andy. So it's all up to Daniel whether I get a point. I don't think I've had a point yet. Let's see if I get a point here. Daniel, what
And
do you
you're
say?
still not. 80s was king for IP games based on TV shows and movies, but I don't think you're always dangerous territory when you do IP, because I listened to a lot of Flip the Table, who they reviewed really bad old games, and they never reviewed this one. So I'm going to trust Flip the Table and say that it doesn't exist because it wasn't on that show.
So you're a no believe.
No believe.
No believe.
No
All right,
believe.
Believe it or not, Rocky did come out in 1985, and I was amazed at how similar this sounded to Challengers, to where I
Is it
was like,
WWE Challengers?
to where I was like, these guys are going to think I just
game?
came up with Challengers and just change it to Rocky,
Challengers.
because you're just playing cards blind off the top of your deck. But it sounds like actually a pretty cool game. But
I was thinking it sounded like WWF Superstars. There was WWF at the time, and they had a game super similar to this, I think, where you were
really?
playing cards as the different wrestlers.
okay,
so
I've
when
seen
you
that
said
game, but I didn't know how it
Challengers, I
played.
thought that. Fine, I think.
I just mean I didn't know the mechanics. I didn't know how it worked.
Oh,
but yeah.
I owned it. I think we played it once. Then we took the cardboard guys out of the game and wrestled with them. And I don't think we
Nice.
ever played the game again.
Sounds fun. Yep. That sounds like what I do as a kid. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Board Game Believe It or Not. Did I fool any of you out there? What do you think? Is that did LEDs come out before 1989? I mean, for the love of Pete, give me a break with that. I don't understand these guys sometimes. But anyway, thank you for watching, and stick around for the next segment.
I was thinking of LCD. I realized that.
Yes.
now.
Look.
Yeah, LCD. That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Anyway.
LCDs invented by John LCD.
Yes.
Oh, see, there we go. Also a Canadian icon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got me looking up Daniel LED, by the way. You had me.
I thought, really?
I was like, this guy is smart. He probably knows what he's talking about.
That's hilarious.
Round 4, fight!
All right, well, we're down to our last segment of the show, and this one is Board Game Masterpiece Theater. And the way it works is I have used my voice acting skills to put together, and sound design to put together a little clip that it could take place in the world of a game, or it could be talking about a game, and you have to identify what it is. I believe you guys all have whiteboards, right?
We do.
Okay.
I've got
I
the
don't.
old school whiteboard.
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
That'll work just fine.
Wait, Daniel forgot he needed one.
Uh-oh.
No, give me a second.
A few moments later.
Okay, Daniel's back, so let's get started. Our first one here is fairly easy. I think. We'll see.
Coming soon to your breakfast table. Kids love it.
I like the purple squares.
I'm a fan of the green sunbursts.
For me, it's orange circles and red diamonds that make me happy.
Put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 to score big. But don't repeat yourself.
This is a lineup you can't beat. So order a bag today for Mensa-approved fun.
All right. Daniel, I don't think got anything down there. I fooled Daniel completely.
Well, let me just throw something out there since I didn't write anything down. I'm going to say ingenious.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, so you get
no
first
idea.
pass if you don't write
Yeah,
anything.
why do you get to wreck the game here, Daniel?
Because I didn't write it down. Because I wanted to guess.
Wow.
And
So John, I think, was first just barely before Shawn. So John, what do you got?
I had Azul.
That is incorrect.
Ah.
that was
Shawn,
my
have you
first
got
guess, but
it?
you said circles.
I'm
You
pretty
said
sure
circles.
it's Splendor, which is not written well.
It is not Splendor either.
Oh.
I'm pretty
I
sure you'll find
fooled
it
you
is.
all.
I think you're wrong, Andy.
The game I was referencing was Quirkle.
I thought it was
that
supposed to
makes
be a good
sense.
game.
Quirkle's a great game. What are you talking about? I love Quirkle.
I think I should get
Solid.
points because that was the closest. Because ingenious is really close to Quirkle. You're matching shapes.
Sure.
Give me points. Give me
No,
points right
no,
now.
I get
I
all the
think it's
points.
great that Daniel's like, I didn't write anything down, so I want to say something real quick, and then he has a guess. No, you write down your guess, Daniel.
That's right.
Say I
I got
didn't
this
guess.
really nice
I get to guess.
notebook, and I don't like writing in it, so I didn't
My
want to.
God.
Okay. I will if I have to, but I didn't have to.
This is
Maybe-
why I'll never buy a nice notebook.
In hindsight, that might have been the hardest one I did. We'll see. But here's another one. You guys ready?
Sure.
Listen in.
In a hole in the ground, there lived a creature. Actually, sometimes pairs, triplets, quadruplets, or more of these creatures, in nearly every color imaginable. But oddly, they could never quite put roots down across the kingdom. Instead, the land was filled with magic men, green monsters, pointy-eared folk, and other strange creatures, all clamoring to control more of the map. The more numbers they had, the greater they could wield their power, but always of the same color or type, because to do otherwise would be uncouth.
All right. I think Daniel was first, and then Shawn, and then John. So,
I'm
Daniel, what do you
sad
got?
How slow I was. Oh.
I can't read that.
Is it ethnos?
It is Ethnos.
Oh,
Congratulations. It is Ethnos. What'd you think,
You threw
Shawn?
me-
What-
I was so certain that this was Small World.
Oh, good guess.
Mm-hmm.
Both better guesses
you
than
threw-
mine. I always default to Keyflower when you talk about different colored people. So. I knew it wasn't right, but at least I had a guess.
Well, you threw me off though because you said dig holes.
Yes.
And, like put in your roots. What do you mean dig holes?
Oh,
Is
no,
it
I
'cause
said,
they're hobbits?
I said in a hole in the ground. That was a reference to the opening lines from The Hobbit, from
Okay.
the book. So I was referencing halflings, and then
Okay.
halflings in the game
Oh, my
Ethnos, when you play them, they don't put a guy out on the map.
That's true.
Right.
Man,
Okay.
that
In
was
Small
pretty.
World, I think they actually start with a little hole in the ground that they climb
That's
out
true.
of.
Yes.
Small World's a great guess. Yeah, very well could have been in Small World too. But the idea was, as you play more cards, and the other reference was the colors, because we talked. There's 4 or 5 different colors in Ethnos.
That was the
Yeah.
Keyflower reference.
Yeah. Well,
I would say, Shawn, you were right until he said colors, and then it's like, yeah, unfortunately, the colors and Small World don't go together.
True.
All right.
all right. Here's our final one. Let's see who can get this one first.
It's just non-stop around here, isn't it?
Yeah, I can barely keep up. Gotta get some of this over here and some of that over there and fill the orders before the big guy comes and checks on us.
Yeah, every 3 days he pops out of nowhere and rewards the best workers, but it's so stressful.
And the working conditions are brutal. It's so cold.
Then when we're not building stuff, we're feeding those stupid animals in the barn. To be honest, I feel like the stress is stunting my growth.
Yeah, and what's it all for? For one day of the year for the younglings? Whoa! Ouch! Sorry, I slipped on some tinsel.
All right, Daniel was first. What do you got, Daniel?
I think he's got it.
It's not Keyflower, John. It's
it's not?
Santa's Workshop.
Yeah.
It is Santa's Workshop. That is correct.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that's what
You
I
guys
have
all
as
get
well.
Down last second. I've never played it. I hear
Oh,
it.
okay. That was a hard one to make because I was like, I can't make it. I just can't do anything Christmassy up front to give it away. So
Do you do all of those voices, Andy?
I do.
Wow, I am impressed by that. That's really solid.
Oh, well, thank you.
Hey, if you need someone to do your commercial for your,
That's
there you
right.
go.
I can do last week of summer, man. We could totally, talk about that.
Andy's too much of a big shot. He'll say, "Talk to my agent."
Yeah, that's there. Sure. Well, that is.
Well, good job, Andy. Once again, those were
Thank
beautifully
you.
made.
Yeah, that was really good. That was better than last time, I think. That was really good.
And that was really good that you made them with like seconds to spare.
Yeah,
It's true. I actually made them just today, so
It's the last few minutes before the show.
that's right. So, what did you think out there? Did you get those games in Board Game Masterpiece Theater? Please let us know in the comments below, and be sure and like and subscribe.
All right. Well, this is the part of the show where we declare who our winner is. And we forgot to talk to Shawn about this. So hopefully he knows about it because he said he at least watched one episode. So with he blew us out of the water with 14 points. He is our leader. So we're going to give him, Shawn, 2 full minutes to talk about whatever you would like to talk about. Maybe your game, maybe your channel, but you can decide whatever you want. And
You don't
Andy
have to
won't
talk-
interrupt you.
And you don't have to talk for 2 minutes if you want, but as long as
So
you
you have to.
okay.
Oh, I can talk for 2 full minutes. Great. So if a bear is attacking you, there's really 2 kinds of bears that you got to think about, right? Because either you got to play dead or you got to run away, and you don't know what kind of bear it is. That's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about is, so if you're attacked by a bear, I'm sorry, it's my fault. You got eaten. But I'm going to talk about last week of summer, and yeah, so this is the game I've been working on for quite a while now. We're going to be putting it out this spring, and when I say we, I mean me and my lovely wife Jess. If you've watched the channel, you're going to know who she is. Our channel is Allies or Enemy. I'm fitting as much into this 2 minutes as I can. But last week of summer it's 1986. You got to squeeze as much as you can of fun into your last week before you got to go and be an adult. It is jam-packed full of 80s stuff, of skate parks and arcades and buy-in albums and all the stuff that you love to do as a teen. And I hope that people have as much fun out of playing this as we've had in making it. And we're really excited to get this out to the world. So that's pretty much everything. And I do think generally if a bear attacks you, try and make yourself big. That usually is the best way to go. Playing dead just feels like a bad call because they might try and eat you. So make yourself big, I think, but don't sue me if you get eaten by that bear. And then you're like, this guy on this podcast said, make myself big, and I got eaten by a bear.
Yeah.
Please, I'm not a bear expert. Please, I'm going to put that disclaimer inside last week of summer as well. But there you go. That's my 2 minutes.
Very
Not a bear
nice.
expert, but you are from Canada, so
You know,
Well, I do. We actually learn about this in high school. It's funny. I was talking to someone else about this, and because they were saying about falling into ice, and I'm like, didn't you learn how to cross ice in high school? And they're like, why would we learn that?
yeah.
We do this stuff in high school. What do you do when a bear attacks you? What do you do when you cross ice? Why
Wow.
does anyone live in this country? But,
I'm amazed we got through the entire episode without mentioning Canada's best game of all time, Crokinole.
Oh, God.
oh my goodness. Yeah, you're welcome, world. Yeah, Crokinole is terrific. Yahtzee as well. Yahtzee Canadian classic.
Oh, I didn't know
really?
that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Without
it was
Yahtzee, we
actually-
wouldn't have like a quarter of the games in the hobby. So
I know,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Every game that exists is either Yahtzee or Crokinole.
There you
Just
go.
slightly dressed up.
You heard it here first, folks.
There might be a dash of Monopoly in there too.
No,
I mean, come on, I
that's-
gotta give
that's
America some
Yahtzee.
credit. All right, guys. Well, that is awesome. Shawn, thank you so much for being on the show. But before we leave, we always have to celebrate board game birthdays. So today, this month in February of 2012, Manhattan Project came out. So it's 12 years old, and it is a worker placement game which you have unique workers who can activate unique areas. You can also spy and use your neighbor's board as well. It's a really competitive and in-your-face worker placement game. Manhattan Project, 12 years old.
Cool. Also coming out in 2018, so 6 years old, is Black Orchestra. If you've not played Black Orchestra, that Black Orchestra got me through COVID. I bought that when COVID started, and I played it solo. I don't know how many times I played it, but oh, so thematic, and I would love to play this actually with people because it's what a co-op game should be, because you can't alpha game it. If someone gets thrown in jail, they have to make decisions completely on their own. That's going to hurt everybody, but they're trying to hurt them the least amount because they're getting interrogated. And you're looking out for where Hitler is. You're trying to put together a plan to kill him. And Black Orchestra, as we say on this show, it gets the French kiss. 6 years old today for 2018. Shawn, what do you got?
Also, 2018 is Welcome To, and yeah, 2018. So it's also 6 years old enough to work in a pre-industrial factory. So yeah, Welcome To, a terrific roll and write game. It kind of started the big roll and write revolution. Yep. It's the 1950s, and you're putting numbers on houses, as everyone did in the 50s.
Yep.
You're putting up fences. You're circling ponds. It's one of my favorite roll and write games. It had a terrific follow-up to Welcome to the Moon. And so that is happy 6th birthday, Welcome To.
And bringing up the rear here, at only 5 years old, from 2020, is In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is a great game. The thing I love about it is it's got a little bit of everything. You got area control, you're playing polyominoes, you are the cascading's really neat in the Hall of the Mountain King. It's a game that I need to get to the table more often, to be honest.
Did you ever play the IP version? Did you ever play the IP version of that game? Kids in the Hall of the Mountain King?
I love the Canadian reference. That's great. If only.
That was a very good Canadian reference.
Yes. I did play it, and yeah, Dave Foley, by far the best character.
There you go.
Well, thank you to all of our wonderful viewers and listeners out there. Remember to tap those like and subscribe buttons, and be sure to join our Facebook group Around the Board. And you can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. You can always get in touch with us via email, mail@aroundtheboard.net, or check us out on other social media. We will see you next time. Shawn, thanks again for coming, man. Appreciate you being on the show.
And for anyone watching, this is a terrific show to watch if you're trying to decide what beard you want to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why we were allowed to be on. You had a beard, you fit Chris's role perfectly fine. So good job.
That's right.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, Shawn. Where can they find your game and learn more about it?
Yeah, so if you want to check us out on Allies or Enemies, if you want to find generally our YouTube's probably the best place. We also have a Facebook. We have a Discord that I barely know how to use. We have got a website as well. But the best places to find us are either on Facebook, Instagram too, or the YouTube channel is mainly where we are. So go check out our videos there. We're going to have a lot about last week of summer and about a whole bunch of other board games too, because it's all we do is play games and talk about it.
Totally tubular. Rad, man.
Cool, Shawn. Thank you.
Well, thank you
This is
so
my
much.
pretty notebook.
Andy, are you going to do the see you next time around the board?
I just did that.
You already did.
Oh, he did?
Oh, maybe. I think I did.
I don't think he did.
I did.
Okay. All right. Boy, that was.
We'll see you next time around the board.
There we go.